يا أيها الناس قد جاءكم برهان من ربكم وأنزلنا إليكم نورا مبينا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما. Juzz 23, also known as Juzz ومالية. The 23rd Juzz of the Quran spans across 4 surahs. This juz begins with verse 22 of Surah Yaseen and continues to Surah Al-Zumar, verse 31. Juz 23 starts from ayah 22 of Surah Yaseen, and in this juz, Surah Yaseen completes at ayah 83. Juz 23 opens with the statement of the wise man that, "Why should I not worship the one who created me, and to him you will be the return? Shall I take these idols for gods other than the true God? Or did I call these idols gods, apart from the true God, that if the beneficent Allah were to harm me, their intercession would not avail me, nor can they save me?" In ayah 25, the wise man declared his iman, and people, instead of listening to him, they killed him. Then ayahs 26 and 27 tell us that Allah the Almighty blessed the man with Jannah after his death, and he was placed among the honored ones. In ayahs 28 to 32, it is mentioned that the oppressors are suddenly destroyed, and that they will be presented to answer for their behavior and will suffer a great punishment. Then, ayahs 33 to 35 tell us about some of the signs in nature, which are vegetation on earth, springs, date palms, and grapes, and still, people are not grateful. Ayahs 36 to 44 describe the power and glory of Allah the Almighty, that the sun, the moon, and the planets are following the rule of the Almighty, and it is not possible for them to have any mischief or confrontation. With the mercy of Allah, people can travel by sea. Ayahs 45 to 47 tell us that the disbelievers are not moved by either the fear or the signs of the Quran. Moreover, they mock at giving charity and the resurrection. Ayahs 49 to 53 tell us that the resurrection trumpet and the day of judgment shall surprise the disbelievers. Then in ayahs 55 to 63, the reward of the righteous and the punishment of the evil is mentioned. Ayahs 64 to 68 state that on the day of resurrection, the faces of the guilty will be sealed, and their hands and feet and other limbs will bear witness against them and in the court of Allah that what crimes have been committed from us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the complete power to punish them in the worldly life, but they are given a chance. They are given a chance to turn away from their wrong actions and turn to Allah the Almighty. Ayahs 69 to 70 tell us that Prophet Muhammad is not a poet, and that the Quran is the clear word of Allah to prove the disbelief and behavior of the arrogant ones is incorrect. In ayahs 71 to 73 we learn that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifests in his works of benevolence. Ayahs 74 to 75 tell us that idol worshippers will find their trust in idols vain. Instead, they will testify against them. Then, ayahs 76 and 77 tell us that Prophet Muhammad is asked not to grieve at the hard speeches of the idol worshippers, Allah the Almighty is aware of their actions. The ending verses of Surah Yaseen mention the question of the deniers of the hereafter, that when man dies, and even the bones will rot, so who will resurrect them? And then he replied that again, the same Creator, the blessed and exalted, will resurrect him, who had created before without any name or sign. Moreover, when Allah Almighty intends something, He says, kun, meaning be, and then that thing comes into being. Praise be to Sovereign Creator and Raiser of the dead. At this, Surah Yasin completes, and next begins Surah Al-Saffat. In Juzz 23, ayahs 1 to 182 of Surah Al-Saffat are included, meaning the whole Surah Al-Saffat is included in Juzz 23. Surah Al-Saffat, meaning those who stand in order, is the 37th surah of the Quran and has 182 verses. This surah was revealed in Mecca, and its central theme is to prove the truthfulness of Tawheed, Risala, and Akhirah. This surah opens with three attention-grabbing oaths that describe the constant heavenly battles between the angels and Shaitan, comparing them with the earthly battles between the prophets and their communities. Ayahs 13-21 tell that they ridiculed the Quran as the product of magic, and they rejected the day of a judgment. But they are the ones who will be in despair when they are resurrected. Ayahs 22-33 tell us that idol worshippers and their idols and gods will be called to account. They will dispute among themselves and approach one another. Finally, they shall all be punished in hell. Ayah 36 of Surah Al-Saffat then mentions that the idol worshippers of Mecca call their prophet a distracted poet, which is wrong to do. Then, ayahs 37 and 38 tell us that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ brought the truth and confirmed the previous prophets. People will be punished for the actions they did and not for anything they did not do. In ayahs 40 to 49 it is mentioned to strive for the love of Allah. The special and sincere servants of Allah will be rewarded with Jannah full of gifts and blessings. Ayahs 51 to 54 teach us to know that you will have someone in your family or friends who discourages you from obeying Allah and creates doubt about resurrection. Stay away from them and stay strong in continuing to do good deeds. Next, ayahs 57 to 61 tell us that being safe from punishment on the day of judgment is real success. So strive for this success, race and strive towards the right path. Do not let the worldly life distract you. Ayahs 52 to 72 tell us that we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the hellfire and ask Him to not include us from the ones whose food will be zaqum, meaning a tree from the depths of hell, having the most bitter taste. In ayahs 73 to 82, we learn about Prophet Nuh alayhi salam and his people. Next, in ayahs 83 to 113, Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam is mentioned, along with the struggles he had to go through while inviting people towards the oneness of Allah the Almighty. In ayahs 114 to 122, we are given the account of Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam. In ayahs 123 to 132, we learn about Prophet Ilyas alayhi salam and his people. Next, we learn about Prophet Lut alayhi salam in ayahs 133 to 138 while he was forbidding people from evil acts, but they rejected the warning and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them. We are then given the account of Prophet Yunus alayhi salam and his people in verses 139 to 148. They were sincere people. In ayahs 149 to 160 of Surah Al-Saffat, the people of Mecca are reprimanded for attributing offspring to God. No matter what they do, they cannot turn anyone away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayahs 164 to 166 tell us that Muslims worship Allah, arranging themselves in rows, and they always glorify Allah the Almighty. Then, in ayahs 167 to 173, we are told that the disbelievers make excuses for rejection and not accepting the truth, but in vain. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps the messengers against the disbelievers. In ayahs 174 to 179, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is encouraged to await divine punishment for the disbelievers. Ayahs 180 to 182 tell us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free from all the attributions that people make. Praise be to Allah and peace on His messengers. At this, Surah Al-Saffat completes, and next begins Surah Saad. In Juzz 23, ayahs 1 to 88 of Surah Saad are included, meaning the whole Surah Saad is included in Juzz 23. Surah Saad, from the letter Saad, is the 38th surah of the Quran and has 88 verses. It recounts stories of previous prophets, describes the splendors of heaven, and warns of the monstrosities of hell. This surah was revealed in Mecca. Surah Saad opens by describing the role of the Quran as a reminder, creating awareness and consciousness. The beginning part also mentions about the pride and conflict of the disbelievers. They are not moved by the fate of previous nations. They call Prophet Muhammad ﷺ a sorcerer and a liar, and they mock at every reality they are informed about. Ayahs 11 to 16 of Surah tell that former nations also rejected their prophets and their prophethood, and because of their disbelief, they were punished because of their denial. Those people foolishly demanded about the day of judgment, and they will soon see the result of their actions. Ayahs 17 to 29 include a narration about Dawood alayhi salam and his ability to differentiate between good and evil. There is then a narration about Sulaiman alayhi salam in ayahs 30 to 40, about his power and wealth and how that motivated him to increase in shukr and dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Following that, in ayahs 41 to 44 of Surah Saad, there is a narration about Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam and the art of being patient and thankful to Allah the Almighty. Ayahs 45 to 47 mention Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ishaq alayhi salam, and Yaqub alayhi salam, who were always engaged in preparing themselves for Akhirah. Next, Ayah 48 speaks about Ismail alayhi salam, Yasa alayhi salam, and Dhul-Kifl alayhi salam, that they were also Allah's servants and slaves and cannot be regarded as intercessors on the Day of Judgment. In ayahs 50 to 54, Jannah and its glories are described. Then, Jahannam and its miseries are outlined in ayahs 55 to 64. Idol worshippers and their leaders shall mutually reproach each other in fire. In ayah 65 to 68, Allah the Almighty declared that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a warner and brought a vile message which will secure them in hereafter, but those people still turned away. Verses 71 to 84 give a description of helplessness of the angels and the jinn by referring to Iblis, who was haughty and was from the rejected ones. Surah Saad then concludes with the message that the Quran is an advice to the people of the universe and people will know about it shortly. At this, Surah Saad completes and next begins Surah Zumar. In Juzz 23, ayahs 1 to 31 of Surah Zumar are included. Surah Zumar, meaning the troops, It is the 39th surah of the Quran, and it contains 75 verses. This surah derives its name from the Arabic word Zumar, which means troops, that occurs in verses 71 and 73. At the beginning of the surah, it is commanded to purify the religion for the sake of Allah. The polytheists say that we worship our idols because they will bring us closer to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He does not guide the disbelievers. Ayahs 5 and 6 mention the power of Allah Almighty, who created the heavens and the earth, established a system of night and day rotations, and set their own orbits and destinations for the sun and the moon. He created all human beings from one soul, who was Adam alayhi salam, and created the pair from them. He is the one who nurtures the fetus in the mother's womb in layers of darkness. Ayah 7 of Surah Al-Zumar tells us that we enjoy Allah's blessings day and night, and so we should practice gratitude. When we do shukr to Allah, then He subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us. He has the knowledge of the secrets of hearts. In Ayah 9, Allah the Almighty says that the status of the one who busies himself in sujood and qiyam in prayer during the dark hours of the night, hoping for the mercy of Allah, is way different and higher than the one who doesn't, or the one who does it only when calamity strikes him. We must turn to Allah the Almighty in times of happiness as well as times of sadness. Ayahs 9 to 11 then tell that the righteous and wicked are not equal before Allah. Surely, the righteous ones who practice Islam, despite all odds, will be rewarded immensely. In ayahs 12 to 14, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is commanded to exhibit the pure religion of Islam and to make sincere worship only for Allah the Almighty. Ayahs 15 to 16 tell us that those who do not follow their religion, nor that they encourage their families to do so, will be the greatest losers on the day of Qiyamah. Verses 17 to 18 tell us to protect yourself from worshipping Shaitan by following his ways and your evil desires, and hold on tightly to the Quran by acting on its teachings, as it is only then that you will be rightly guided. In Ayah 22, we are told that people blessed by Allah are the one whose mind Allah has opened for Islam, has received light from his Lord. But ruined are those with closed minds against the remembrance of Allah. They are grossly misguided. In verse 23, we are told that our hearts should be soft with zikr of Allah, and skin should tremble with fear. In verses 25 to 26, it is mentioned that the ones who rejected the truth, they were humiliated in the worldly life, while the punishment of Akhirah is worse. In ayahs 27 to 28, Allah the Almighty has mentioned many examples in the Quran, so people may benefit from it. The Quran is in the Arabic language without any falsehood, so people fear the consequences of evil. Ayah 29 compares the man of faith to the idol worshippers, the modern materialist. Can a servant devoted to many masters who are at odds with each other be the same as the one who is devoted solely to one master? We learn from verse 31 then that on the day of Qiyamah, Allah the Almighty will take the idol worshippers to task, as He knows what they have been doing in the worldly life. At this, Juzz 23 completes, and Allah the Almighty knows best. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.